Okay, we are going to look at problem 8, and I chose this problem because you get a chance to do a ratio, a fraction, and a percent. And so this is a good review of some things that I'm expecting that you know from 5th and 6th grade, but we get to review it. So in problem 8, it says students in Middlebury Middle School were collecting data, and they surveyed students and they wanted to know what kind of movies they preferred. The choices they gave them were action and comedy. And you can notice that the columns are the type of movie, 7th grade and 8th grade. And so you need to make sure that you're going to keep the numbers straight when you're looking. Okay, so in A, the first one, it says, okay, let's do a ratio. Okay, the ratio is going to be 7th graders who prefer comedies to 8th graders who prefer comedies. So we're on the comedy line. I'm looking at 7th graders and then 8th graders. And so the 7th graders are a ratio of 105 to the 8th graders, which is 150. Okay, and I can write it that way, or I could write it as using a fraction bar, but understanding that we know that this is part to part, right? This is the 7th grade part of the students to the 8th grade part of the students. And this also is part to part, even though we are using a fraction bar. Okay, and now I'm gonna simplify. If I get to here, this is good. So first thing I need to know, you can set up the ratio in the right order, 7th to 8th. And now I'm gonna simplify. And I can simplify here. If I divide by 5, I get 21 over 30. And I know both of those can be also, so I'm dividing by 5, both top and bottom. And here I'm dividing by 3, and I'm going to get 7/10. And I could do that here too. I could get 7/10. Okay, so if you set up the ratio, awesome. If you could get to simplifying in lowest terms, awesome. Okay, that is even better. So that's great. So there's what we got. We got a ratio and we're simplifying. 2 different skills we need. B says we need a fraction. And so we know that a fraction is going to be part over whole. So whatever that is, it's going to be part and the total or the whole, okay, is going to be at the bottom. So I'm looking, and they're looking for 7th and 8th grade students together. So now I'm adding. This is all the students. So there are 180 7th graders and 240 8th graders. So that is 420 students. And the ones that prefer action movies are 75 plus 90. So that's 165. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to also simplify. And if I divide 165 by, excuse me, by 5, I can get 33. And if I divide this by 5, I'm going to get 84. And I can still divide by 3. I know 84 is divisible by 3. You'd have to check on your calculator. I know that it's going to be 11 over 28. Okay, and so that is lowest term. So here's, again, we're looking for, did you set up the fraction? And can you simplify it? Setting up the fraction is critical. Simplifying is, if we need more practice on that, that's good, but that's where we want to get to. Okay, C says, let's do another fraction. Okay, so we have a fraction, and this fraction is going to be 7th graders, the 7th graders who prefer action movies. Sorry, my eyes are going too quick. So a fraction of 7th graders who do action movies. So 75, that's the part, and the whole is 180. Okay, and I'm going to divide that by 3, and I'm going to get 25 over 60. Okay, so I'm dividing by 3, just to be clear what I'm doing. And now I know that I can divide both by 5, and I'm going to get 5 over 12. And so again, I set up my fraction and I simplified. Okay, D now is the new thing. So A was ratio. That's the beginning. B is fraction. So we take it another step further. Okay, and D is percent, and that takes it even a little further than that. Okay, so now we have to have a fraction before we can get a percent. So I'm looking for a fraction first. D says total students who prefer comedies. So I'm going to add the comedy people together, which is 255 over the 420 total students in the student body. So I'm going to divide that by 5, and I'm going to get 51 over 84. That is also divisible by 3. So to be clear, I divided here by 5. And here I'm dividing by 3. And it might not be obvious that 51 is divided by 3. But if I add those digits, 5 plus 1, it's 6. And when I add the digits, if it's divisible by 3, I know the whole number is divisible by 3, so 6 is divisible by 3. And I'm assuming that you went over the divisibility rules in either 5th or 6th grade. So I know that that is 17 over 28. Now, I can't just do that, okay? I can't just have, I'm making a percent now. So there are 2 ways to make a percent. I can set up a percent proportion, which means I'm making it equal to 100 because percents are out of 100. Or I can divide 17 divided by 28. If I put it in my calculator, I would put 17 divided by 28. So, and I told you last week that you're allowed to use calculators. So I'm going to put that in my calculator, and I'm going to look at 17 divided by 28, and I'm going to get this decimal. I'm going to get 0.607, and I know that a percent is out of 100. That is going to move it 2 places, and so I'm going to have 60.7%. And I could round that to 61%, but we're going to leave it. We're going to round to tenths. Okay? There we go. E is another percent, and we are going to use the same process. In this case, I want a percent of 8th graders who prefer action movies. Okay, so now not comedies, action. So that would be 90 over 240, right? 240 is the total number of 8th graders, and the total number of the 8th graders that prefer action movies is 90. I'm going to simplify this. I prefer to, first of all, I'm going to divide by 10 because I can, divide by 10. So I'd have 9 over 24, and those are both going to be divided by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Okay, now remember that I have to change it to a percent. That's what's being asked. So I'm going to, I could set it up as a proportion, which would be 3/8 equals something over 100. Or I can take 3 and divide it by 8, which in my calculator, I would put 3 divided by 8, and that's going to give me 0.375, which as a percent would be 37.5%. There we go. Okay, so that is 8th grade. In F, they want to know which is greater, the percent for 7th grade or the percent for 8th grade. So we already have the percent for 8th grade. That is 37.5. So let's find the percent for 7th grade. So 7th grade would be, this is action, so it's going to be 75 over 180, okay? And I'm going to divide that by 3, and I'm going to get 25. And I could divide it by 5 first, but I'm going to divide it by 3, 60. And now I'm going to divide it by 5, and that is going to be 5/12. So to be clear, divided by 3, divided by 5, okay, and I get 5/12. And again, I could set it up as a proportion, 5/12 equals 100, and I know you did percent proportions in 6th grade. I could do that, or I could say I'm changing this fraction to a decimal, and so I would do 12 divided into 5, or in my calculator, I would put 5 divided by 12, okay, and I would get, let me put in my calculator, I would get 12 divided by 5 is, 5 divided by 12 is 0.41666667. Okay, and I'm gonna multiply. I'm gonna get that to be a percent, so that would be 2 places. So 41.6%. Okay, if I rounded, I could round it up to higher. I can make it 42, but we're gonna leave it like that. We're gonna what I call truncate. You're gonna cut them off, and so it's gonna be 41.6%. Okay, so we know that grade 7 really has the greatest percentage of people who like action movies. That's not really a surprise. Okay, good deal.